Hello Crypto Gang, welcome to another LamboLife video. This is part 2 of my Zcash video series. In part 1, we discussed both the privacy aspect as well as the validation process of the Zcash blockchain. If you haven't seen that video before, go watch that first and check this later. Link is down below. So in this video, I want to talk about the scaling solution of Zcash. I'm glad that Zcash is prioritizing scaling this much that they actually have a separate project to tackle this problem. They are building a protocol that would enhance the privacy features on the Lightning Network. Now, the Lightning Network per se already has privacy features built in. It employs a technique called onion routing, in which users can route payments through many different channels to hide the contents of a payment. It's the same technology used in Tor, the dark web browser. We'll get into that in a minute. The way I understand Zcash is that despite being a privacy coin, the community believes that their use case is not primarily for the dark web, but for our everyday lives. They want it to be used by ordinary people, by corporations, even governments. The agenda they are pushing is that privacy is a fundamental human right and should be exercised by the majority. I like this idea personally, and for some reason I'm rooting for this, because as the world moves to become digital, every purchase you will ever make will be recorded forever and ever. Everything. Think about all the things you buy that nobody knows about. They are not necessarily bad, maybe a little embarrassing, maybe just something you don't want everyone to know. Not especially 10 years later, where you're almost a different person and people will look back at your purchase history. Technology is a double-edged sword, and with the blockchain technology, everything might become permanent, and I don't think that's something we all want. Not totally. There has to be some sort of balance. Alright, enough intro. Let's get it. Zcash is a scaling solution similar to Bitcoin's. It's called Bolt. Don't get it confused with BTC's Bolt though, as they are quite similar, but not exactly. Bitcoin's is called Basis of Lightning Technology. It's a standard for building the Lightning Network, aka BTC's scaling solution. I made some videos about Lightning Network, so if you're interested, check those out. I'll leave links in description. Before we move on to Zcash, let me give a quick overview on what the Lightning Network essentially does. As most of you know, scalability is a big problem among most decentralized cryptocurrencies, most especially privacy coins like Zcash and Monero. That's because privacy requires massive computing power to execute and verify. Not to mention, moving those data across the world creates a bandwidth problem. Now, one of the most, if not the most optimal solution would be to scale some transactions off-chain, thereby allowing payment channels to exist as a second layer. In this second layer, people could send payments instantly with extremely low fees or no fees at all. This is possible because the payments are not verified on the blockchain for every payment made, but instead, only when the channel closes. So as long as the channels you are routing to are online, payments can be routed back and forth with near instant speed and low fees. Just know, this is an oversimplification, but that's because I don't want to dwell too much on Lightning since this is a Zcash video. Right now let's focus on Zcash. I mentioned Bolt earlier, and Zcash has their own Bolt. It is a second layer solution very similar to the Lightning Network, except it has stronger privacy features and is meant for privacy coins like Zcash. They call it blind off-chain lightweight transactions. Bolt was created by a computer scientist by the name of Dr. Ayo Akinieli. As he quotes, "The Lightning Network has solved the initial issue with scalability, and now that gives us the opportunity to deal with the privacy problem. That is the strength of the Bolt design." Bolt aims to make payments routed through its channels unlinkable. There are two cryptographic techniques for this: blind signatures and commitments. Commitments will hide the value of the payment, while blind signatures will allow users to sign for transactions without revealing what exactly is being signed. Now this sounds really promising, guys, and this protocol can also be implemented in the Lightning Network itself to add layers of privacy. With a little adjustment, this could potentially be added on Bitcoin as well. Now why am I compelled to say this? Because Zcash claims to have one of the solutions the Lightning Network and BTC is trying to deal with: privacy. The Lightning Network itself has privacy-enhancing features, but it has perceived limitations on its robustness, some academics would say. For instance, the hub-and-spoke argument keeps resurfacing, where hypothetically large corporations create centralized hubs where most payment channels pass through. And with majority of payments passing through this hub, there is a chance they could potentially make a graph analysis and have an overview of the network as they log the transactions that pass through them, killing privacy and censorship resistance, which are features that are very dear to most people in the crypto space. And the way to prevent that would be, at least according to Dr. Akinieli, is to have Bolt provide a private link between Zcash and Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's privacy can only do so much. What's interesting to me is that this layer 2 interoperability between Bitcoin and Zcash could dismantle some of the tribalism that occurs in the cryptocurrency space today. You know what I'm talking about? My coin is better than your coin, whatever. That's why I'm rooting for Bolt to happen. Now, I've always stressed the importance of discussing the drawbacks in every cryptocurrency. Hopefully nobody purges me for this. Indeed, Zcash is built for privacy. The problem is the end users may not value it as much as we expect them to. As of today, 94.7% of Zcash are in the transparent value pool, which means shielded transactions only account for 5.3% of the network in value. That's not a good number at all, and what's even scarier is its decreasing ratio. Last July 2017, shielded transactions accounted for 23% of the network. And then in November 2018, it went down to 14.5% until today, which is 5.3%. Please note that we are talking about the value here, not the number of shielded and transparent transactions. For that, we need to look at the usage. There's no statistic for the whole network, so the past month is all we could study. But as you can see, there are 90,561 transparent transactions, 12,940 shielded, and 1,680 fully shielded. Fully shielded means they have been used strictly between shielded addresses. That is to say, it hasn't been deshielded and possibly linked to transparent addresses. Now you are probably thinking, why is it important to differentiate the two? Two words: transaction linkability. We all know that transactions sent between two transparent addresses are linkable. We also know that when you send funds from a transparent to a shielded address, the link is broken. Well, not always. There's a scenario where a shielded address might not protect against value linkability in some cases. Let's visualize it. Imagine a scenario where Pilandok, who has a transparent address, sends 100 Zcash to Chichi, who has shielded address. But then Chichi sends the same full amount to Dudut. One might think that since Pilandok shielded his transactions when he sent them to Chichi, then he can't be linked to anyone. But since Chichi decided to send the full amount to Dudut, then there's a probability of Dudut and Pilandok being linked, which makes the whole point of using Chichi to unlink them pointless, right? But why? Let me be technical for 5 seconds, okay? Don't go away. Right, I'm gonna neglect the transaction fees to make this simpler to explain. See, if Pilandok's public output, denoted X, and Dudut's public input, denoted Y, are equal, and that value is unique enough to other public values stored in the Zcash blockchain, there is a degree of association between Pilandok and Dudut. Furthermore, the closer in block times this happens, in other words, the quicker the exchange process between the three happens, the stronger their link is. Okay, so back to our transaction statistics. If we combine the shielded and fully shielded transactions, the sum is 14,620. Now, I don't want to bore you with all the math, so I'm just gonna give you the results. As of the last month, the combined number of shielded transactions is roughly 14%. Turns out this had been 14% for a while now. This needs to be dealt with. Even the Zcash founder Zuko Wilcox acknowledges the need for shielded transactions to increase. Let me quote him real quick. In a podcast, he was asked if the shielded addresses could be deduced from the transparent addresses, in the same way you can solve a Sudoku puzzle by solving the missing pieces with the pieces you are given with. To that, he replies, "Yeah, it kinda is. It's a Sudoku puzzle, and in the world where there are a lot of transparent addresses being used and a very few shielded addresses being used, then it's like a Sudoku that you can solve because you can sort of process of elimination or logical deduction. But in the world where there are lots of shielded addresses being used, then it's a Sudoku that's enormous and doesn't have enough clues to answer." So the point here is we need more shielded addresses, more shielded transactions, relative to transparent transactions. The way they are dealing with this is through the so-called sapling upgrade, which is actually very important but I'm unable to discuss in this video. Basically, sapling is an upgrade that significantly improves the efficiency of shielded transactions. This will pave the way for broad adoption of shielded addresses on mobile, crypto exchange, and vendors, etc. We will be talking about sapling in the next video, and I will make sure to get into the bottom of this, of why the number of shielded transactions hasn't skyrocketed relative to their transparent counterparts. Now, there is one drawback that I don't really consider as a valid drawback, but other people may consider it as such, so I'm just gonna put this out there and tell you my opinion on this. So, 10% of the total supply of Zcash is rewarded to the founders and early investors, paid off over a period of 4 years. Is that greedy? I don't think so, considering they did not do an ICO unlike most cryptocurrencies. Even Satoshi owned almost 5% of the total supply of Bitcoin before. Damn, it feels good to be in crypto. Alright, that's it for today's video. I really haven't discussed everything that needed to be discussed, but since nobody wants to watch a very long video, I'll save it for next time. Thank you so much for all of your support. I appreciate you all. If you just stumbled upon this channel, be sure to subscribe and be updated with my crypto research so you can learn more about crypto. Lights out, I'll see you on the flip side.